to step 3 of crocheting for students, making a tooth. And in the last 2 steps, what we did was we learned how to make a slip knot, and then we started crocheting in the round, making our first row of 7 stitches, and then we closed it off. In this step, we are going to make our second row, and we are also going to enlarge the row as we go, and we're going to learn how to tuck in the tail so that it's not in the way of our stitching and it's not going to get pulled out. So the first thing you want to do is identify where you're going to be making your stitches. So the first stitch is really easy. It's right where your stitch marker was placed. Okay, so you're going to put your first 2 stitches into this little hole here that's created by the bobby pin. Okay? Before you start making those stitches though, what you're going to do is find the tail, and you're going to lay the tail over top of where you're going to put your stitches. Okay? So you can see that the hole where you're putting your hook is right here. You've got your stitch marker, and then you're going to lay the tail over top. And we're going to cover that up with our next 2 stitches. So same stitch as before. You've got 1 loop on the hook, put another one on from the back, from the working end, put the hook into the hole, pick up a piece of yarn, pull it back through, put the working end over top, and pull through all 3. Okay, so that's our first stitch. And every time we make a stitch, we are going to put 2 into the same hole. So we're going to enlarge each row right now. So we put 1 stitch in, we're going to do another stitch in. Again, remembering that you want to cover the tail. So there's a loop through the hole, pick something up on the other side, pull it through, another loop, and then pull the yarn through. And sometimes it gets a little bit tight. You just need to wiggle it. And you might need to reposition your hook a little bit. It's okay. So let's pull that one out. Okay, so we're going to redo that one. So loop into the hole, pick up, pull through, and then pull the yarn through. Okay, so now you're going to take your stitch counter out. You don't need that row marked anymore, so pull the stitch counter out, and you are going to put it into the very first loop that you made on the next level. So here is the stitch that we are just working in. We're going to go back 1 and put it in there. Mark that off. Okay, so every time you make a stitch, you are putting 2 into the same hole. So if you look, you can see that there are little loops. There's 1, there's 1, there's 1. Those are our stitches, and that is what we are going to be using as our as where we're going to put each stitch in this row. So loop over, poke it in, pick up a piece of yarn, pull through, another loop. Okay, again into the same hole, pick up, loop around, and pull through. So we're doing 2 stitches in every stitch in the row below. And since we did 7 stitches in the row below, we are now going to do 14. And now we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here's our 6th. And just keep moving around, putting your next stitch into the one below. 7, 8, 9. If you ever have trouble getting your crochet hook through, you just need to wiggle it. It doesn't need to be exact. It's not super important where exactly you put it. If you pick up 3 pieces of yarn or you pick up 2 pieces of yarn in each stitch, you just want to make sure that they are at an even distance apart. So there's 8, 9, 10, oops. Okay, made a bit of a mistake there, it's okay. Not a big deal if you make a mistake. Just take the yarn off and go back a step. It's not a race and it doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, 12 and 13 and 14. Okay, so remember, just like in our last row, we need to close that row off. So we've got our stitch marker. We're going to put in 1 into the hole there, pick up some yarn, pull it through, and pull it through again. So that's our second row of stitching. And we did 2 stitches into every stitch on the row below. So we increased this row by 2. We had 7 stitches